Town council meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
to the
republic
which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Two.
Joan, could you do the roll call?
Councilor Burk,
Here.
Councilor Cook,
Here.
Councilor Edwards,
Here.
Councilor Perry,
Here.
Councilor deMedeiros,
Here. All right.
Councilors Vieira and Janick are absent.
All right, consent agenda. Approval of town council minutes. The June 28th, 21, as you noticed, was not in the packet. It is not ready yet. That was not a mistake. It wasn't included. June 10th, 2021, joint workshop with Tiverton Planning Board, Tiverton Zoning Board of Review, and Tiverton Economic Development Commission. Acknowledge receipt of minutes from the boards, commission, and committees, Board of Canvassers 1, Financial Town Hearing 1. Acknowledgement receipts of reports, Town Administrator, Department Monthly, June 2021. Police and Fire Department overtime, June 2021. Acknowledgement receipt of correspondence, Sioux Gill Planning Board regarding Jim Lance, LLC, bill sales project referred to Town Administrator, including response. Would anyone like to take anything from the consent agenda?
Madam President, oh, go ahead, Donna.
Yes, I'd like to remove 4D1.
Okay,
Do we need to remove A1?
yes, we need to remove that. And we also need to discuss 4.2. 4A2.
For A2.
So right now, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve 4B and 4C.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made by Councilor Burke, second by Councilor Perry. All those in favor, Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Perry.
Yes.
It's so much easier to go through this roll call when some people aren't here. I'm sorry, although I do miss them. For A1, we took that off because it's not available at this point. Mike, do we need to make any kind of motion for this?
I would just make a motion to give the town clerk an additional 30 days to complete those minutes.
So I'd like to entertain that motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made by Councilor Burke, second by Councilor Perry. All those in favor, Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Perry,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. For A2, Joan brought to my attention, and Joan, correct me if I'm wrong, that Councilor Cook
Was absent.
was absent, but it says that, Joan, I noticed.
Yeah, but not on the agenda.
Oh, okay, all right. So I'd entertain a motion to put on the agenda that Councilor Cook was absent.
So moved.
Second? Anyone want to second that, please?
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilor Edwards, second by Councilor Burke. All those in favor, Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Perry,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. 4D, acknowledge receipt of correspondence, Susan Gill, Planning Board regarding Robert Lance, LLC, bill sales project, referred to Town Administrator, including response. Donna?
Yeah, the reason I wanted to go over this was that it seems to be just an acknowledgement of receipt, yet when I was reading it on several occasions of asking for town council input, and I was just wondering, when we were going to have input, or if we need input, or
Chris,
I
would
don't
you
know
like,
what else I'm supposed to do.
Chris, do you want to answer this?
So it's my understanding of this process that Bob Lance is, trying to acquire the property at the industrial park.
For many
And-
months now.
And the agreement that he has, the purchase and sale agreement that we have with him is that he will acquire it subject to approval of preliminary planning approval before he acquires the property. So if this is just the cart before the horse, or, so the planning board can finish up their deliberations. They've basically done everything they need to do. And they can approve it conditionally upon perfecting the purchase and sale after the preliminary approval has been completed. The only other matter is outstanding, and it would be for the final approval, is the merging of the 4 lots, which is an administrative matter that the planner can handle on her own. And again, once that's completed and recorded properly with the clerk's office, those recordings can be brought back to the planning board's files to be included. Again, that can be approved subject to the administrative officer, the planner for doing her role of merging those lots and titling the property correctly. Other than that, there's really nothing that the council would get involved with this.
So there isn't really anything to weigh in on it.
Nope, you've made an agreement with him. He's agreed to buy the land subject to being approved at preliminary planning. And once that's done, it's a matter of titling the property over to him and merging the lots, which is an administrative matter the planner can do. And there's no different than you doing liquor licenses subject to meeting all legal requirements. This is the very same thing. Unless there's something in the planning process that has not been achieved, if everything else is in order, they can approve it subject to those conditions. And I believe I did run that by our solicitor as well, and through the planner as well. And I don't see any issue that would hold us up.
So if we make a motion this evening to refer this to the planner, and as long as it meets all legal requirements, they need to move forward, would that be helpful?
I believe it would.
Donna, does that clarify it for you?
Yeah, because it was on the first page, it was a little conflicting to me. I'm like, is she asking us to do something? It looks like,
Well,
You
there's
know, they
really
can't
nothing we need
proceed.
to do.
She said she wanted a clear and specific direction from the town council because their meeting is Tuesday, July 13th. So I was like, I don't recall being asked recently, and yet,
No, and we haven't been, Donna.
okay.
So I think that we just need to probably make a motion, like I said, to move this forward to the planner. And as long as all requirements are met, then she can approve this and help the planning board move this forward. Does that sound okay with everyone? Jay?
Yeah.
Well, I just have one question or comment. This has happened with this particular case. It's liable to come up again with a future one. So does the decision we make on this carry over to the future, or do we need to do some housekeeping? Because I look at the June 21st big long memo that we got from Susan Gill that talks about a lot of this kind of stuff. So
Yes,
do we need to do something for the future besides dealing with this one now?
Chris, Mike, Marcelo, Mike Burk, and Deb Janick and I have a plan to meet with the planning board, but because of all the other things that have happened
Right.
and vacations, we haven't really gotten to it. Chris is trying to set up that meeting now, and some of the stuff that Susan put in that letter, we're going to address with her. I did put the solar ordinance on for this evening, so that we could move that forward to the people that need to review it. So I did address some of that, but we are going to have a meeting with Stu and Susan, hopefully next week. We tried to do it this week, but Chris has been tied up going to court with Mike over the lawsuits. So we're gonna try to do it next week. But we're gonna try to, I think what really needs to happen is we pay the planner to do her job.
Mhm.
And I think they need to rely on her more and her expertise more. And I think that's part of the discussion that, like Chris said, we do it with the police chief and the DPW with certain things and with Joan, as long as it meets legal requirements and the people we pay to make sure that is happening says yes, then we give our blessing. So I think we just need to make it clearer that the planner really does have our authority to do what she thinks is best. That's what we hired her for. And she can handle some of this also.
So
So,
that can be
but-
a verbal and it doesn't have to be in writing anywhere?
Well, what we're gonna do is once we meet as a group, then we'll come back to you with what we discussed and what might be the solutions. And trust me, we'll keep you very well informed on how this is going. A lot of people have been complaining about the procedure, and that's why we're trying to make this an easier procedure. And I think including the planner more actively would help expedite this procedure. So
Okay.
that's what we're trying to do. Mike, you have your finger up?
All right. So just the issue, there's just a technical issue here in that when we sign the purchase and sale agreement, we can't close on the property until the preliminary plan is actually approved. The preliminary plan has not yet been approved, but part of that preliminary plan requires the quote unquote owner to merge the lots into one lot. Well, he's not the owner until the final plan is approved, right? So it's kind of like it's a circular kind of thing. So the issue for the planning department or the planning board was, well, how do we approve a preliminary plan and merge the lots when he's not going to own the lots until the plan is actually approved? And the planner believes, and I concur with her, that the planning department can give conditional approval of the preliminary plan, subject to the merger of the lots. And then once that occurs, then he will be the owner, and then the owner can merge the lots and we'll be done. So it's really a simple, I believe it's a simple fix. It's just whether or not the planning department and all the planning board is willing to go along with that recommendation. But that's what Jen has recommended, and I see nothing wrong with doing it that way. And
So if we just make a motion to refer this to the planner and have her make the decision on how this goes, would that be okay?
I mean, it's really not even up to the planner. It's really up to the planner and the planning board. But yes, I mean, there is a way around this. It's just whether the planning board as a body will accept the recommendation. Jen has already made the recommendation as I've outlined. So.
Well, they're looking for our guidance, so maybe a motion that we agree with the planner's decision.
Yeah,
Madam Chair, may I suggest a motion?
Sure, go ahead, Mike.
The town council recommends to the planning board that they accept the recommendation of the planner in regards to the bill sales agreement, in that they move forward with the approval of the preliminary plan, subject to merger of the lots and meeting all other legal requirements.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, so motion's been made by Councilor Burke. I'll give Donna the second. Seconded by Councilor Cook. All those in favor, Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Perry,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Thank you. So now we have to have a motion to accept the acknowledgement receipt of correspondence from Susan Gill. Correct?
Oh,
Oh,
4D in other words, 4D.
Yeah,
Okay,
4D.
so moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion's been made by Councilor Edwards, seconded by Councilor Cook. All those in favor, Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Perry,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Thank you. Public comments regarding a council agenda item, another town business. Comments received from Deb Hagan on behalf of the Nantucket Neighborhood Association regarding Narragansett Bay Special Area Management as it pertains to agriculture development in Nantucket Pond. Is Deborah here? Yep, I can see her. You
And
want to bring her in, Chris?
bring her up. Some names in here I don't recognize.
No, but I saw hers.
I did too.
Oh, she's right up at the top with her hand raised.
Here she is, right. Okay. Can you hear us, Deb?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Great.
Welcome, Deb.
Thank you.
Keep in mind, this is a public comment, so the council can't really do any action on this. We can listen
Yes,
and put it on a future agenda if we feel fit to do that.
I understand. Thank you for hearing me tonight, though.
You're welcome. Go ahead, Deb.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to read the statement that I sent in,
I could.
but I can just summarize.
Okay.
So on June 23rd, CRMC held their first public Bay SAMP meeting, the Special Area Management Plan. And during that meeting, they said that they were going to include individual towns in the process to select sites, also make note of areas that were inappropriate because of user conflict or other environmental reasons. And what we are requesting is to have a voice in this process. The working group is going to ask for public comment after the working group has already mapped Narragansett Bay for aquaculture development. It is our opinion that they don't really want our opinion. It's more of an afterthought. We would like the opportunity to participate in the process where it pertains to waters off of Tiverton. We've had an email and some correspondence with Donna in particular, and I understand the CRMC aquaculture approval process. I understand the town council's role in that and the Harbor Commission's role in that. And what we're asking is, since you guys have an invitation to this working group, personally, I, as a resident of Tiverton, do not. We are asking you to represent us at a meeting with this working group, one that we can participate in, to say, hey, we use this water, our family uses this water, a lot of people use this water. We don't think this is an appropriate site for aquaculture development. It's an opportunity to fight future development without the urgency of that application being on the table. And my question is, even with your limited role and input with CRMC, you have an invitation to participate. What prevents you from making that request directly to CRMC on behalf of not only the residents who live around Nantucket, but to all of Tiverton residents who recreate on the waters here?
Okay, so what would you like our request to be, to participate in the meeting?
We would like an audience with CRMC, the town council, and the Harbor Commission as part of the working group process in mapping aquaculture development in Tiverton's riparian waters.
Okay. Okay, so I'll put it on the agenda, see if the council approves of that, and then we can reach out to CRMC.
Okay,
Any of the other councilors have any comment to this? It's a limited comment,
Yeah,
but go ahead,
I
Donna.
do. I think the Bay SAMP is a interesting group. I was just gonna be out there. I was asked at the last minute on the day of this. I didn't even know what it was. I did participate because I thought it was important. It was like an hour and a half. I only had an hour to spend on this, but I really feel that it's done outside of public notice, postings. It's interesting, and it doesn't come in with the OMA clause and law. So it keeps the public not really in the arena of what is going on in their own neighborhood and the waters on our shoreline of Tiverton. And I'm never for that. I like transparency, and whatever we can do on the next agenda, or whatever agenda this is put on, would be to have and get permission from the CRMC for, if there's some of these individuals want to be at the SAMP working group, because they're really stakeholders. They live in the area. We all have a stake in our shoreline, but it's right there for them. They lose it right away. Rights, and actually the Rhode Island Constitution is quite clear on what our rights are. And I just don't want a rewriting of the Constitution to take away the recreational enjoyment of our waters. Having said that, let's look for ways to have this group participate, and maybe we can get some information in the meantime. Thank you.
Anyone else? I just do want to say that anything we suggest to the CRMC is just a suggestion. They
Right.
can do what they want, basically. I had a,
Yeah.
I know that Michelle McGaugh has been talking to them almost daily, but we both had a discussion that it's only a suggestion, and they can take our suggestion or not, but there's very limited power the town council has, and even the state reps have at this point. Jay Edwards?
I have a question for Donna. Did you say that the current meeting that they just had on the 23rd and future ones are not governed by Open Meetings Act?
See, we looked into that.
That's right. It's called a working group. So they don't have to post the meeting.
And they don't
doesn't
video
come
them or
on
anything?
Well, they did.
Where are they at?
Well, the people that participated got an audio of it. I can always send it to you. But I mean, that's it.
So they're not like
Why
Zoom.
these other people were invited, I don't know. There was about 50 people.
But what I understand is they did advertise it though, Donna.
Oh, did they? I didn't know about it.
Yeah, I did understand that they did advertise it. The problem is not everyone watches everything that's going on in the state, so it's difficult to keep track of what's important to you and what's being discussed. Mike?
Well, you can't track, as we've said before, you can't track something if you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
No.
Mike?
Two things, just a technical piece. Joe just said he's having Zoom problems, so he's trying to get back in.
I noticed he just disappeared.
Yeah. And secondly, while this may not be a public meeting, I think it's important to understand, and I know that, Deb, this doesn't meet what you want. Every state agency has to ensure that there's a public process for input for any regulations that they may come up with. And I assume that this will end up being a set of regulations. That input can be done in writing. It can be done at meetings where there is public comment and the like. So there are opportunities. I recognize it's not exactly what you're looking for, Deb, but there are opportunities. And Chris, do we have anybody from the Harbor Commissioner from the town who's participating in these going forward?
I believe the Harbor Commission is through Bruce Cox and others. I don't know exactly who. But I will say that the committee, the Bay AMP Commission that is an ad hoc advisory committee to CRMC. So Deb is right in that it's not required under the OMA requirements of doing the postings.
Come here, right now.
And
Sorry. Sorry.
so, there are some issues with the ad hoc committee process, but you're right also that anything as it relates to their rule and regulation process, should be through CRMC a point of contact to actually provide written comment.
And I would also,
Commission has been active with this, so I do know Bruce Cox's group is very active with this as well.
and I would also encourage, since you're an organized group, Deb, that you write to the director and ask for a meeting with the director. There's
Yes,
nothing
Jen,
that prohibits you.
We
Okay.
have included Ben Getch and Jen McCann, who is at URI, and she's, I believe, if not the director, pretty high up in their organization and organizing this with CRMC. So Donna and Denise, Bruce, we've included Chris on some of our emails. So we are reaching out to everyone that we can think of. We feel like public comment is an afterthought and a courtesy when it occurs after the work has already been done.
If I may just add from my own experience in having to deal with that, it's agencies find it very helpful to get that public comment, and they do their best to incorporate as many perspectives as they can in the final product.
Well,
And just-
appreciate you hearing me out tonight, and look forward to seeing how this all unfolds.
And just to let you know, at 2 meetings ago, the council decided that I was to write a letter to CRMC to express the concerns of the community, and that was sent to them, Deb.
Thank you.
You're
Did you
welcome.
receive a response from them?
I did not, no.
I haven't received any responses from them either. Oh, that's not true. Ben Getch did reach out to me in response.
I
to
mean,
one of
unless
my
Chris got some kind of response, but personally, I did not, and Joan's shaking her head no, so.
I haven't as yet.
So, but I
I-
did send that letter out about 3-4 weeks ago, I would say.
Oh, I don't remember reading it.
A copy wasn't sent to you, Donna, we'll send one to you.
Oh, okay, I didn't get it.
I think we might have, but I'm not sure. But I did send a letter out, and it went out right after the meeting, not the last meeting, but the meeting before.
I may have missed it too, but I don't remember seeing it. I remember us talking about it, but
All right, we'll send it to you.
so Donna, it wasn't just you.
I don't think anybody got it.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, I think it was sent out, and maybe,
I think a copy should be sent to Deb Hagan also.
okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
okay. Well, thanks, Deb. We realize your concerns, but like we have limited power over this, but we will try to do as much as we can to make sure that public input is put into all the decision-making.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. All right, I'm gonna move on if that's okay with everyone. My dog is really acting up. By the way, in 2 weeks, we're gonna be live at Town Hall, and it'll make me
Right.
very, very happy.
Feed him your agenda, Denise.
What, feed him my agenda? Yeah, he did that once before. Public hearing, Nicole Kirkus Town. Mike, will you take over for a minute?
Got it. Public hearings, Nicole Kirkus, Tiverton Land Trust request approval for sound variance and special event permit for Pardon Gray Day on Saturday, September 18th, 2021, with a rain date of September 19th, 2021, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., subject to meeting all legal requirements. I don't know if Nicole's here.
Trying to find it. There are a couple of,
Nicole, raise your hand if you're here, please. Your electronic hand, that is. I
got it.
see. You got it?
Hello,
Hi, can everyone hear me?
is this Tyler?
Oh, it says Tyler. That's my husband. I'm
Okay.
sorry,
Okay,
Nicole, though.
That's okay. Thank you, Nicole.
Hi,
Go ahead
everyone.
and go ahead.
So I just want to give a short summary. As you know, Pardon Gray Day has been going on for a while, and this is our annual report or application for the sound variance, etc. But I do just want to say we're really excited to bring it back this year. And we are hoping that we can include a couple different things for Pardon Gray around COVID. Like, we're not going to be doing face painting and things like that. And we're not going to have our huge tent like we normally do. So it will be in small individual tents for vendors. That way people can be more outside. But as for sound, I don't think we're going to be doing anything different than any other years, aside from outdoor music. So we're looking forward to having it. If you have any questions for me too, I'd be happy to answer any.
Great, thank you. I actually have a question real quick for Michael. I don't think I have to, but since I was the treasurer up until last August of the land trust, do I have to recuse?
You're the treasurer now?
No.
No, you're not an officer, just.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
I didn't think so. So any questions for Nicole? I think most people are pretty familiar with Pardon Gray Day and the good work
Yeah.
that the trust does. Denise, I'm going to hand it back to you. We're ready to go into the public hearing.
Okay, is there anyone in the attendees group that would like to speak? I am now opening the public hearing. Chris will give you the numbers for anyone out there in the public that would like to call in.
For anybody watching this on Tivertonvideos, YouTube videos, or any other venue, this information is published on the town council agenda on our town website. You can call in toll free at 877-853-5247. You'll need the meeting ID number of 831-1015-8669 with a passcode of 560638. Again, if anybody is in the attendee room who would like to speak on this matter, please raise your hand. Mr. Sanchioni, you'd like to speak about Pardon Gray?
No, I was looking for 6B. Sorry, Town Administrator.
Huh?
Anyone else? Anyone in the attendees group would like to speak? Please raise your hand.
I'm going to repeat the numbers again. It's 877-853-5247. The meeting ID number is 831-1015-8669, and the passcode is 560638. Again, they're published on the town's website under the council meeting agenda if you want to call in. If you're watching on YouTube videos or some other media site. And again, is anybody in the attendee room would like to speak on this matter during the public hearing? Please raise your hand.
Okay,
So, Madam President, at this point, I would suggest you can close the public hearing.
I'm going to close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Would make a motion to, yeah, Joe got it.
So the
Second.
motion from Councilor Perry and seconded by
approve.
Councilor Burke to approve for sound variance and special event permit for Pardon Gray Day on Saturday, September 18th, 2021. Rain date September 19th, 2021 from 10 a to 4 p.m. Subject to meeting any legal requirements.
You got it.
Okay.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
All those in
Thank you,
favor?
everyone.
Tyler, don't leave yet. Everyone in favor? Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Perry,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Tyler, I usually do the
It's
raffle.
Nicole.
It
Well,
it
Nicole.
is Nicole.
Oh,
It's-
Nicole, I'm sorry.
It's
I'm
my
just reading
husband.
what
I
I
have to
see.
change it.
It's okay. Nicole, I usually do the raffle that day, and I'm willing to
Yes.
do that. If you guys want to reach out to me, I'm available.
Oh, definitely, Denise. Thank you so much. I will definitely reach out to you.
Okay. I really enjoy it. I don't know why, but I enjoy wearing the apron. and
Definitely.
collecting
I
money.
mean, doing
Okay.
that sounds awesome. So thanks, guys.
All right,
And
thank
we're
Forward
all
to the
willing to,
day.
And I'm sorry I called you Tyler. I was just.
That's okay.
thinking about it.
and we're all willing to eat food there, so.
Exactly.
Keep us in mind.
Perfect.
Some of us actually cooked last year, 2
Did
years
you?
ago.
2 years ago, yes. And it was fun. I enjoyed
Yeah,
it.
you did it, Joe. Yep.
Wow,
It was fun.
cool.
A lot of fun.
Well, I can reach out to all of you if you'd like.
Not a
Yes,
problem.
please do. I'm
Not a
sure you'll have people want to participate.
Definitely.
And I know
yes.
that Mike is a real good parking lot attendant.
Hey, I got to collect money the last couple times, but
All right, thank you.
Thanks so much. Have a good night.
You
You too.
too. The next is public comment and input in regard to the use of casino gaming revenue for school and municipal capital expenditures. Same rules as last week. This is the second of 3 hearings that we promised to do. I am going to ask everybody to please limit their comments to 5 minutes. So if anyone else would like to talk, we're going to only do this for 30 minutes. So
I think the superintendent has his hand
yeah,
up.
I'm opening up to public hearing now. The superintendent was very eager to do this. He actually came into pot and gray. So, good evening, Peter.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the Town Council. Thanks for a few moments of your time and your busy agenda. I know you have a lot of hard decisions to make regarding revenue that the town has, specifically the casino revenue. I just want to put something in your minds as you try to make these decisions in the best interest of the town. As you look at the school budget, I know we provided you with a lot of details on this, but if you look at our budget from last year, our budget only increased 0.7%, and that was all state revenue. And as a result of that, we cut 24.2 positions. And this year, I know the town's making a strong effort to increase our budget. But what happened is that the state reduced our state aid by almost $600,000. And that was based upon a formula that suggests that Tiverton could afford a little bit more. Now, we could debate the formula. That's not the purpose here. The bottom line is we're receiving $600,000 less from the state. We're receiving more money from the town. But the bottom line is our budget will go up 1.2%. So over 2 years, our budget will go up basically about 0.75% on average. And as you know, there's nothing that goes up that amount, right? Special ed, transportation, all the things that govern our school system. So I would say to you, although casino revenue is something that, probably should not be used for an operating budget, we cut 24.2 positions last year. And tomorrow night to the school committee, I will outline the cut of another 8 positions. That'll be 32 positions in 2 years. This is not going to be the same school system. If you attended the Tiverton Public Schools that you experienced, it's not going to be the same school system we had in FY20. So I know there's hard decisions to make, but as you consider this revenue, I ask you to just think about that and possibly factor that into your decision-making, whatever you could do to support our budget at a higher level. I know I speak for the school committee, would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Peter, I do want to say that, yes, you did not get the 600,000 from the state, but the budget committee did incorporate that in their budget. It did only bring you to a 1, and I thought it was 1.9, but that's okay. But the people in Tiverton are actually being taxed on that 600,000 that they included. So that brings it up to 4%. And I understand your dilemma, but you have to understand that the citizens are being taxed for a 4% increase. And I think the town council is going to consider all of this when they look at the casino revenue and decide what's best. But I do understand your dilemma, but the town is taxing the taxpayers 4% because the budget committee did include that 600. It's a difficult situation right now.
I thank you for recognizing that. And I do recognize exactly what you're saying. Yeah, it just, as you articulated, it is only a 1.8% increase for us overall. And that's the difficulty, right? It just, it doesn't
Right.
match up to our revenue or to our expenses. All we're asking for was a level service budget, which means we wanted to just bring back exactly what we were doing last year, not even restore any of the positions we cut the previous year. So it is a tough situation, and I appreciate you recognizing it, and count on your wisdom and your good thinking to see how you maybe could support averting any more cuts for next year.
I think when the budget committee looked at all of this, they did give the maximum increase of 4%, and I understand it really isn't a 4% as you guys look at the books, but it is a 4% that we're taxing everyone. And like I said, it's very difficult right now, and the town council is taking this matter seriously, and hopefully we'll do what everyone is happy with. But Peter, as you know, no one's ever happy with anything. So there's always someone that's not happy. But I think we're going to give a lot of deliberation to this and see what we can do to help everyone.
Well, I appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
You're welcome.
Would anyone else like to speak? In the audience, please raise your hand. If you need to call in, Chris will say the numbers again for me.
It's 877-853-5247. The meeting ID number is 831-1015-8669. And you'll need the passcode of 560638. And again, they're all published on the town's website on the internet under the council agenda. So if there's anybody else in the attendee room who would like to speak publicly about this casino gaming monies and potential uses, please raise your hand.
Once again, I urge everyone out there that has an opinion, please come forward. I mean, this is a subject that it seems like on social media, everyone has an opinion, but you need to talk to the council as a group so we can consider your suggestions. We will have one more hearing, and what I'm thinking is dedicating a night to it, but I'm not quite sure if we're gonna have enough participants. We're doing our best to get as much public input as possible. Mike?
Another piece, Madam Chair, that one of the suggestions that came in from Jennifer Oser from one of the PTOs, I'm not sure which one exactly, I apologize, Jennifer, was to do a Google Docs survey and put the link up on the website. So I am going to work on something for us for that. Perhaps I'll try my best to have it ready unless the committee just wants to give authorization to go forward, to have it ready for our next meeting. And we may want to also consider something like that for the federal money that we're getting through the Relief Acts, knowing though that that money has some significant guidelines that we're still not sure what they're going to be, but it's not free money, so to speak. So I will put that together unless folks don't like that idea.
Mike Marcello, could we just say it's okay for Mike to do that tonight without that being on the agenda? Because we are asking for public input, and that's just.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. That's fine as long as, yeah.
Yeah, because I'd rather not wait 2 weeks for that to happen. Is that okay with everyone as a consensus that Mike puts up a survey about the casino money?
That's a great idea.
Donna,
The more comment we can get, no matter how we get it, is good.
Okay. And I know I didn't really think we had a vote on it because we have decided we're welcoming public comment. So I don't see any hands up.
Nope. I don't know if at this point you want to close this part of the public hearing?
Yes. But I do want to say I'm a lot disappointed that we're not getting more public input on this, because this is a difficult decision for all 7 of us, and we are really welcoming any suggestions, and we want to consider everyone's suggestions. So please, the next public hearing, or do our survey, but we really need suggestions, because when we do make the decision, and people criticize and you haven't come to us, shame on you. So, Jay?
Well, I just want to reiterate one thing on that. Just for the general public to understand, Facebook is not the way to communicate with the council. So when you're doing your Facebook, whatever, it would be a simple matter to generate an email and send it to each of us or any one of us or anybody, Chris Cotta, you name it, because quite frankly, Facebook is not something that we read necessarily.
I've been trying to
I
stay
don't.
away from it, quite frankly.
So yeah, I stay away from it. So if you really want us to know your opinion, you have to communicate with us. And Facebook is not the way you do it.
Thank you, Jay. Anyone else before I close the hearing?
Let me just double check.
Any counselors like to say anything before I close the hearing?
I'll just make, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I understand that every department, all of them, school department, library, all of them have needs. However, those needs predominantly are included in things that are contractual. Once they're a contract, you cannot alter them. You can't back off of them. So if we spend money on them, we're going to have to do it year after year after year. That's why there's a move, a view that casino money in particular should not be used to support operations. Should be used for capital. That's the thought.
Which people don't seem to understand this. I think the majority does. That reduces your taxes.
Well,
If we're taking capital away from the budget, you're not paying taxes on that money.
well,
It's a
so
one-time expenditure.
to continue, so, the amount of money we get from that casino revenue is a finite amount, if we even receive it. So if you spend it, the next year you're going to have less, and the year after that you're going to have less, and the year after that you're going to have less, until it's essentially spent and obligated. And then what do we have to do? Well, then we're back to raising taxes because of that. So just think about that.
Okay, thank you. At this point, I'd like to close the public hearing and urge,
Donna has something,
I just
Denise.
noticed, Donna, go ahead.
I just, excuse me, I just have to mention that the money will be spent and obligated if you take money from the casino and put it towards the school and the library. It becomes part of the maintenance of effort.
Yes, it does.
And that is, you never can go below that again, never. So the $605,000 that we took, that the budget committee put in the budget for the school, that the state was obligated to give and decided not to, sort of like, well, you're getting casino money, so we're going to take $600,000 away from you, which was not the plan when we decided the casino was going to be and voted for the casino here, that we were somehow going to be, fingered for that, is a terrible thing. And what happens is, as it keeps going to the school and the library, that's where it goes, and you have nothing left. I just want to make clear that through the FTR, you can do all this anyway, because we did it with capital. The capital expenses 9999. It works the same way, but that's all I have to say on that.
Thank you, Donna. Mike, you have your hand raised.
I'm not defending,
Mike, you muted.
I'm not defending the fact that there's $600 less from the state. However, that is from a funding formula that predates our having a casino. It factors in what is considered the community's ability to raise from taxes based on the income levels of and properties of that community. our properties have gone up overall over the years. We have a higher ability to pay based on that formula than some other communities. So to say that we lost that money because of the casino is not accurate. So I just want to clear that up.
Right, there's several factors that factored into that formula.
Yeah.
Okay, we done? Anyone else like to say anything? I see no hands raised. No one has called in, so I'm closing the public hearing. Welcoming, this is the second of 3 that we promised. And I'm encouraging anyone out there to do the survey or to join us the next time. Thank you. Board of Licensing, Peter Lacoste, Antiques at Old Tiverton, 1019 Main Road, request approval of antique license, subject to meeting all legal requirements. Is Peter here?
There's a Peter in the waiting room. Can you raise your hand if this is Peter Lacoste?
Obviously, it's not. So, we have the backup.
Hang on just a second. Let me just.
Okay.
Just-
I don't know.
Peter, are you the one on the agenda for the antique license?
You're on mute right now, Peter. If you'd like to speak to us, you have to unmute yourself.
Unless it's Dr. Sanchioni.
No, it's not.
No,
Dr.
it's not.
Sanchioni was-
He came in as.
All right,
as
I'm gonna put him
Peter.
back in that attendee room then.
Okay.
All right, I just wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt, but there is no other person by the name of Lacoste. Let me go through it again.
No, I'm looking. I don't see anything. There's an
Is
X
there
there. I don't know
anybody
who
in the
X
attendee room
is.
here to speak on this matter?
Okay, so we have the backup in front of us. Does anyone have any questions?
Not a question. I'm just glad to see a building that would have been empty is being used.
Yeah, it was an art studio and they sold it to Peter, to the people that are selling antiques now.
Wasn't there a fire hydrant?
Yeah, it was a fire
years ago.
extinguisher and then the owners of that sold it to the art studio that only lasted about a year and now it's this. Anyone have any questions?
Madam
Joan?
President?
Yeah.
I just want to mention that Peter Lacoste, he did apply for a holiday license today, but I believe since it's not on the agenda, we'll have to put that on the next agenda. And he did indicate that he was going to try to attend tonight.
And there's a Peter now raising his hand. Every time I go to grab him, he
I
disappears.
don't see him.
It wiggles away.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
runs
yeah.
away.
Every see him, he just disappears.
Yeah, I see the Peter, but I don't see any hand
Oh,
raised.
wait a minute. wait a
There we
minute.
go.
There he is.
Now come out wherever you are.
Well, I see the Peter that's muted. I don't.
Can you
He's
unmute
back in
him?
the room again.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, there he is.
Peter, we dislike this as much as you do at this point. Would you like to say a little bit about your business?
Sure. I've been involved with antiques for 35 years, and I have been looking for a building where I could live upstairs and sell my antiques, in the same building. And this turned out to be a perfect mix for me. And it's really a great opportunity for me. And believe me, 4 months ago, I never knew where Tiverton, Rhode Island was until I saw the listing for the property, and I couldn't have picked a better place.
Thank you, Peter. I hope you enjoy Tiverton.
Yes, I do very much. Great people in the area.
Councilor Burke?
Peter, my wife and I stopped in the other week and we enjoyed your store. I believe you said you moved here from Bellingham, Mass, somewhere up there?
No, I lived in, I'm actually selling my house in North Providence.
Oh, North Providence. Okay.
North Providence, yeah.
And your business was where?
Well, I did have a shop south of Worcester.
Okay.
That was about 5, 6 years ago. But because of health issues with my father, I had to sell the building and kind of concentrate with him. And so I moved to North Providence, and I just decided, you know, enough's enough. I got to get back and start doing what I love. So that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, you don't want to live in Providence.
North Providence.
North Providence. Any questions from the council for Peter? I'd like to entertain a motion at this point.
So move to approve. License to sell antiques at, I gotta have the address right, 1019 Main Road, Tiverton, Rhode Island.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made by Council Edwards, second by Council Perry, I think, or both Council Perry and Council.
Perry.
All those in favor, Council Cook,
Yes.
Council Edwards,
Yes.
Council Burke,
Yes.
Council Perry,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. And Peter, your next license request will be on the next agenda.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, and enjoy
Thank you.
Tiverton, and thank you
I
for
will.
joining us.
I do. Thank you again for your help.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Jesus.
Okay, Philomena Santos Higgins, Cystic Fibrosis, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Chapter, 2020 North Main Street, Nantucket, Mass. Request approval of special event license for cycle ride through Tiverton on September 18th, 2021, from 7:30 to 3:30 p.m., subject to meeting all legal requirements. I
Can't
assume
tell
that-
if she's in the attendee room, so Philomena, if you're in the, please raise your hand.
And could you bring Chief Jones into this also?
Sure.
62 miles?
Yeah, it's not for me.
Not
For
for
a
the
big-
faint of heart.
For a good rider, that's a drop in the bucket.
I'm sorry?
Some of them will do centuries on it, several times a week, 100 miles.
Oh, my God.
So, I don't want to assume, but I'd imagine, I'd like the police chief to weigh in on this. Patrick, have you seen this?
We have. This is an annual event. Unfortunately, it was canceled last year due to COVID, but we've worked very well with these folks, and we know that we'll have detail officers and work with any of the event organizers so we can make sure that safety is of paramount, and also so we can put some.
Oh, we lost you, Chief.
You're on mute.
I'm sorry. So we can put something out on social media so we can let everybody know that there's going to be bikers in town.
Chief, you keep muting yourself, or something's muting you. Patrick, are you there?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah. we
Can hear you
now.
now.
So I'm not sure how much you heard, but we deal with this event on an annual basis, but it was canceled obviously due to COVID. So our detail officers and the officer responsible for scheduling the details works with the event organizers so we can make sure that we have police officers on duty to direct traffic and also direct any of the people involved in the event to keep traffic issues at minimum. So I have no objection to approving this event.
It is the same day as Pot and Gray, but I understand it doesn't even go by Pot and Gray, so there won't be a traffic problem on Main Road.
That's correct. We'll make this work.
Council Burke?
The only thing with that, Chief, if you could, I would have done this with the sponsor if they were on. When I worked Part and Gray the last time, while it isn't supposed to come that way, I'm pretty sure this is the event where riders got confused after they got off Neck Road and took a left and came north again. and asked us for directions, and not knowing anything about the event, we had no way which way to tell them to go. I think they eventually probably did another 25 miles trying to find their way back, given that I told them to go up to Booger Marsh and hang a right. So if you can just relay to the sponsors that, try to make sure that their directionals are very clear for their riders. And maybe give some information to the folks at the trust so that if somebody does stray off, we know what to tell them. They know what to tell them.
Sounds like a good idea to put our big traffic sign at the bottom of Main and 177 with arrows showing which direction that they should go. We'll take care of that, sir.
Right.
Thank you. I'd like to entertain a motion.
Madam President,
Yes.
just a quick comment on this. We did receive today in the clerk's office the RI DOT approval for the event.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joan.
Madam President, I move approval of the request for the special event license for the cycle ride through Tiverton for the Cystic Fibrosis Massachusetts / Rhode Island chapter, 220 North Main Street, Natick, Massachusetts, on September 18th, 2021, from 7:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., subject to meeting all legal requirements.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilor Burke, seconded by Councilor Perry. All those in favor, Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Perry,
Yes.
and I'm a yes.
Yeah.
Okay, 8A, acknowledgement of resignation, Greg Banner from the Harbor Commission, effective July 6, 2021. I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the resignation with regret and thank Mr. Banner for his service.
So moved.
So moved.
Motion's been made with Councilor Edwards, second by Councilor Perry. All those in favor, Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Perry,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Thank you. DPW Director Rogers requests permission to award contracts to HDPE pipe to Ferguson Waterworks and for catch basin frames and grates to Secana Supply Incorporated. Welcome, Rick.
Hi, hello, everybody. Good evening. Yes, I would like to request permission to award those contracts. The HDPE pipe to Ferguson Waterworks, catch basin frame and grates to Seekonk Supply Incorporated. The bid opening was held on the 2nd of July. Those two companies were the low bidders for those items, and the bids met legal requirements.
Councilor Burke.
Rick, just one question, maybe I'm not reading this. I'm looking at page 8 of the document you gave us. It's the second Seekonk Supply for the catch basin frames and grates. And you indicate that that's the lowest bid, but there's a bid that they gave for $69.41 and then a bid they gave for $46.11. Just trying to figure out why.
Yes, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike, for that question. On the first bid, which is not applicable, they included the frames with the grates on this, because I think they were not sure, but the frames, items 5, E and F. So I discounted that bid. It does not count because they duplicated their efforts. We were only interested in the frames on the tops and the grates on the 5E and 5F.
So they were trying to cover their bases.
Yes, I think they were trying to cover the bases, and the bid, as noted, is actually even lower than that because they did 5 each on the 5C and 5D. They were only required to do 2, so they were a fair amount lower than the next lowest bid.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the DPW director? I'd like to entertain a motion.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
The motion is to grant permission to award contracts to HDPE pipe to Ferguson Waterworks and for catch basins, frames, and grates to Seekonk Supply Incorporated. All those in favor, Council Edwards,
Yes.
Council Burke, we'll skip him for a minute. Oh, there he is.
Yes.
Okay, Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Perry,
Yes.
and I'm a yes.
Thank you all.
Rick.
Thank you.
Next item is my item, Councilor deMedeiros, solar ordinance update. So it was brought to my attention, as you probably all received the correspondence I got from the planning board chairman, Susan Gill, that this ordinance was drafted and sent to the council sometime last year. I think it kind of got mixed up in the shuffle of everything that was going on with COVID and was never really brought forward to us. We have the ordinance. The town planner gave it to me, and in a discussion with her, she would like to review this. She sees some changes she would like to suggest to us. And also, I feel that Mike Marcello needs to look at this also and make sure he doesn't have any problems with this. So I'd like to put this, I'd like to refer this to the town solicitor and the town planner. And I know I hopefully I'm giving them enough time to ask them to come forward to us with their suggestions. And then after that, we'll have our public hearings. Is that okay with the rest of you? Jennifer, I know you're here. Is there something you'd like to say?
That sounds fine. Yes. So we've been getting a lot of calls about when the solar ordinance would be adopted again. Just to let you know, there's a lot.
Yeah, I'm aware, and I'm getting calls and emails also. But in my discussion with you, I thought I understood that you would like to review this and give us your formal suggestions.
Yes, that would be great.
Okay. Because once before we did I think we did approve an ordinance and it ended up, we stopped it. So I would like it to go through thorough review from the attorney and the planner before we move forward. Donna?
Yeah, I want to bring up the fact that there's nothing in here regarding historic areas need to be in here. We have it in our comprehensive plan, historic resources, and panels can take away from the ambiance of and the beauty of some of these areas. So I really think we need to have, I think it was section 6 would be the place to put information for making sure that the historic sites don't have unsightly panels and solar panels. It just detracts. So, and there was another, and I believe the Historic Advisory Board has been quite clear on what they think needs to be there. And frankly, we need to really be careful with these areas, because once you have unsightly things, you can't get it back. Another thing I wanted to bring up, is that in another town, cranberry bogs are going to put up these structures above the cranberry bogs, and it's going to go on for miles. So we do have cranberry bogs, and I don't see anything about cranberry bogs or if anything would cover this type of solar panels being above cranberry bogs going on for miles.
Okay, well, we'll have the planner look into that also. But I'd like to say, if we are going to put historical sites in this, we have to well define what these historic sites are. And what areas of towns these are, because this becomes a problem.
Well, it's Denise, it's all in the comprehensive plan. It's all laid out.
Right, but it needs
the
to be
whole thing,
incorporated
all of-
here in the solar
All the
ordinance.
national registry.
Right, and I agree, Donna, but it just needs to be defined in here where these sites are, even if we put per comprehensive plan, because sometimes some people think that there's historic sites in different areas that really aren't registered, so we just need to be careful with that. But as long as
Right.
I totally agree, but it just needs to be very
Yeah.
specific, so there's no
Yeah.
question.
Right.
Jay?
Right. I really, is Jennifer okay with that? Because I don't personally think I can go forward with saying yes to anything that doesn't take care of the historic areas. If they're not registered, okay, I get that, but the thing is, it still detracts.
Right.
So,
Jennifer, will you look into that, please?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. Councilor Edwards?
Well, I agree with you on the fact that we need to well define exactly where these historic areas are, because wasn't it Wingover where that project, the whole concept was well underway before all of a sudden, oops, we have a farmhouse.
Yes, yes.
And it wasn't identified anywhere, and it just made things a lot more difficult for everybody. And, you know, if we don't have a well-defined location of all these things, it's just going to lead to massive problems.
Yeah, and there's a couple of examples where this happened too. So I have no problem with what Don is suggesting. It's just that we just need those areas well defined in the solar ordinance, or even if it refers to the areas in the comp plan, at least there's reference to it. Anyone else? Okay, so I'd like to entertain a motion to refer this to the town solicitor and the town planner, and if at all possible, get it back to us by our next meeting.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Donna. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Perry,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Thank you, and we will move forward. I'm not quite sure how this got lost. Well, I am sure how this got lost in the shuffle. We've had a lot of fires to put out, but we are going to put the utmost attention to this from going forward. Administrator Carter, I know there's a couple of these you want to refer to the next meeting.
So I'm going to lighten your load a little bit tonight. Item C and D, while I was trying to get Tim Teese from PAR to give a formal update to the council on where we stand with these issues, we should push this off to the next meeting because I don't have enough information to provide for you that should have been, obviously that would have come out when the agenda came out. We just haven't been able to touch base to get everything that we need to get in front of you. I will tell you, though, that the landfill license has been issued. So that piece has been completed, and Tim will give you a better update on where we stand after that. And the same with the recycling center. I would also defer item E to the next meeting. There is some issues going on with on-site wastewater that are going to be pretty pertinent for us to have to deal with pretty rapidly. But I'm still in the middle of pulling all of it together as it relates to a major project on Booger Marsh Road that is going to be confronted to the town council pretty soon. So,
Okay.
and it's going to take a lot of input from the council on where to go from here. And I just don't have enough, I didn't have enough time this week to put all this together for you. So I would prefer if we could move this to the following week, your next meeting.
Mike, do I need a motion to table these items into the next meeting?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Madam President, I would move that we table items, general business item 9C landfill update, 9D, recycling center update, and 9E, on-site wastewater update to our last meeting in July, which I believe is the 26th, maybe?
Yes,
Yep.
yes. Do I have a second?
So moved. So moved.
I have a motion by Councilor Burke, seconded by Councilor Perry. All those in favor, Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Perry,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Thank you, Chris. 9F, Stephanie BB Save the Power at 543 Neck Road, request discussion on agricultural and area impact. We have invited Rep. Lou DePalmer and Jay Edwards to join us. And I asked them to join us because, as we've made it very clear several times, the council has very little influence on this, although we'll do our best. But we felt that if we get the state reps involved, and I know for a fact they're very up to date on this. I also invited Michelle to join us, but she's away this week, and she knows what we're doing this evening. And I'm
Senator
sure-
70 as well, Madam President.
Oh,
is
I'm
here.
sorry. Senator 70 is also here. So Stephanie, would you like to begin?
Yes, hi. Thank you for taking my request. I've requested a meeting. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes. Very well.
Great. I've requested a meeting because I was alarmed to discover that Tiverton does not have a stand on aquaculture. Upon a little more digging in 2010, I found that there was a discussion to decide if the town should implement its own policy on aquaculture. Bruce Cox is quoted at the time as saying there should be some guidelines developed in reviewing aquaculture applications or anywhere in the waters of Tiverton. And yet our appendix is currently 2018, I'm referring to, marked as in development. My emails to town council to create a memoranda of understanding between the council, Harbor Commission, CRMC, similar to what is available in Charlestown, which is a task force that is dedicated to aquaculture, an appendix of what is permissible and impermissible in their waters, and meaningful and early public input. When I presented this, which I feel that are actionable moves to the council, the feedback I'm getting, and I'm also hearing, I've been here for the whole meeting, that it's not our lane, it's not our jurisdiction. Try to get on Harbor Commission and be heard, be heard that way. The feeling is if town council doesn't have a voice on aquaculture in Tiverton, and Tiverton doesn't have an appendix or an MOU on aquaculture, then there is no one to there's no one to referee Tiverton's waters. And to just give a big example of what Tiverton could look like without an MOU or an appendix in the town charter. For example, South County Coast currently has 49 farms. It covers about 228 acres within 14 miles. Tiverton has 2 farms, and they cover 5.5 acres within 9 miles. If we compare what could be on the eastern shoreline of the Saconnet River, going from Tiverton to Little Compton, there is room for 128 acres of oyster farms. That's roughly about 25 leases, averaging 4.75 acres. Now, again, this is a very pronounced example of what could be, but CRMC has marked Saconnet and Fogland as underdeveloped. There is absolutely a necessity to prepare and protect in word and in open communication. We want aquaculture in Tiverton. It's part of Rhode Island's heritage. We want to be part of the discussion as we publicly enjoy the water as well. I believe 100% that there is room for both. We do not need to have this division respecting aquaculture. So there is the possibility, it has been done. There's precedence in Charlestown. They've been working on it since 2015. And I'm hearing so much no, but how do we set Tiverton up for success? I mean, this is the ask. What do we need to be proactive on aquaculture in Tiverton? how did they create it in Charlestown? How do they have this MOU, a 17-page understanding of aquaculture, and we have nothing?
My question, and I don't know who could answer that, but does the CR, I don't understand the MOU part of this, because the CRMC does not have to, they can listen to us, but we can't restrict it. Am I right, Mike? We can't say we only want this many.
So, excuse me, so we looked at the Charlestown MOU with Ms. Councilwoman Cook many months ago. And the reason why, and when we met with, I think Ben Getz was his name, and there was another gentleman who was there. And I know that the person who just presented, gave the worst case scenario. But we were told that because of there actually is very limited area within this Connet River in which Tiverton, we would never be developed as much as Charleston. Charleston just happens to be a ripe area where it can be developed, I guess, more easily. There are other conditions are more conducive to aquaculture than they are in Tiverton. But it doesn't mean, so the MOU was developed with the town of Charlestown because they were such a prime location and a prime site. We were told, and Donna can correct me if I'm wrong, but we were told that Tiverton, even though there may be a few sites that might be conducive to aquaculture, it is not to the extent that we would be with Charlestown. In fact, since I've been the solicitor, there was at least one or two preliminary sites that were chosen for commercial feasibility, and they were actually turned down by the CRMC for a variety of different reasons. So that's primarily the reason why we do not have or do not feel like a memorandum of agreement would be necessary. However, let me say this: the jurisdiction as to where these farms are granted or is currently wholly within the CRMC. They control what goes on in the waters offshore of Tiverton and any other shoreline community. So that's kind of where we're at. But I don't want to get and again, I don't want to speak too much because I know this is not my opportunity to speak. CRMC and Ben Getch particularly, I know he might even be on the meeting today because he usually goes and he usually watches these meetings, but they have been very, very receptive to concerns raised by the town in the past, and they are always open to other suggestions and participation. In fact, the town was particularly invited to join the Special Area Management Plan Ad Hoc Committee for this Connet River Basin or Narragansett Bay, as we talked about earlier in the meeting. So I don't want the impression is that the town is being shut out of the process. We are not at this point anyway.
But we don't have anything in writing. What I'm hearing is that we've been told. A lot of times once these leases are here, they're footholds. So you can have 3 acres and then a year later, it's like, well, I need 3 more. And also the cages, the equipment, it can change. What starts out as a bottom cage can turn into a floating cage. There isn't any protection. It's great to hear that the town council does, in many ways has been invited, but the public hasn't been invited. I mean, the input that we're getting is at absolutely the 11th hour tail end. And people are very, very upset. There's this idea that what is kind of a butter notification? Somebody who's 200 feet out, like, well, why should we have to tell them we're in the water? The water is state property. But it's also bringing non-conforming business into publicly accessed waters. And I think what we're asking for is just to have that charter, to have something where it says, okay, maybe they're not going to expand as much as they would in Charlestown, but maybe they would. We could create a committee, we could create a task force, a team, what have you, that could be dedicated to that. The people who live here. Tiverton's waters are beautiful and they are pristine, and we do want aquaculture, but we also want to be part of the conversation from the beginning. And it seems very clouded how that happens. Sending emails to a staff to CRMC and possibly being notified when applications are in process. I mean, it's like something out of a Kafka. It should be clear and concise and easy to find, and it isn't. It's very muddy right now. Hi.
Hello.
Donna, I don't know if Denise
Donna,
sees you. so
yes,
go
I
ahead.
see you. Go ahead, Donna.
I just wanted to ask Stephanie a question. In the narrative that you sent, I'm noticing that you're mentioning an Ann Gerber Williams. Could you speak about that? It looks like, yes, there's postings, but to make sure that the citizens in Tiverton know about what's going on, it looks like the town's responsibility to send out something.
Yes, there is. And just give me a moment. I have, as you can imagine, a plethora of emails about
But
this.
it isn't the town's responsibility.
According to Anna at Rhode Island DEM, she says that it is.
I can read it if you have trouble finding it.
Okay, here it is.
Yeah.
Shall I? I would also speak to your town hall. I'm assuming it is the Tiverton Town Hall, about public notification of aquaculture applications in the future to ensure that residents are being notified in a timely manner about applications that are under public notice within the town waters. The public notice period is required in the application review process, and when this occurs, the CRMC tells the local municipality of the open comment period, which then becomes the town's responsibility to notify the residents of these applications. All of the comments are reviewed during a Shellfish advisory panel meeting. This is a meeting that I organize and occurs a few times a year, which is a panel of commercial and recreational fishermen and women.
Did she provide you with the statute or regulation that says that that's the town's requirement?
She did not. This was.
So I would ask that that be provided, because our council knows nothing about such a, and we've never had that. And again, we don't know who all should be notified. It's really, even within our zoning, when it's a land use, it's the person wanting to do whatever they want to do that notifies the abutters.
So,
Mike,
yeah, thank you. So, as we heard at the last meeting that we talked about this, so the town does get notice through the administrator's office and through the Harbor Commission when there is a project being considered by CRMC. And CRMC gives the town notice. That's the extent of the notice that they give us. They don't give us a list of abutters. They don't give us a list of, when I say abutters to a water project that's already by jurisdiction 200 feet offshore. So we don't know who the abutters would be. We wouldn't know how to get that list. We're not provided that list at all. One of the things that we did discuss, and I know that there are many senators and reps, some of them who I know, some of them I don't, but who I know are very good at what they do. One of the things that the town did discuss as a solution to that is to change the CRMC statute and put the burden on notification of, and I'm going to use the term loosely, abutting landowners on the applicant who is seeking approval of their offshore aquaculture project. Right now, the statute is silent. It does not require such notice other than notifying the town. The town then, I think the administrator, as a matter of course, generally sends that notice on to the Harbor Commission, who's been the town's designee to be the kind of the spear on the spearhead that monitors this stuff and provides public comment. But again, they're just advisory. But I do agree on this point that if the issue is late notice, that the thing that needs to be done is to change the statute that governs aquaculture, and that would be on the state legislators who are here today. And I know I did speak with Representative McGaugh maybe about a month ago. We did talk about what would we need to do that. So that would solve the notice issue that you're concerned about, which I think has been a legitimate concern. But I want to make it very clear: the town does not, other than the letter that we get from CRMC, we wouldn't know who the abutters are, nor are we given that information, nor is the town required to notify the abutters of that application. But we do send it to the Harbor Commission, as I indicated, and I know that CRMC does put a notice in the paper when they're going to have a public hearing on the proposal.
And also just to mention, the Harbor Commission does discuss this as an advisory board, and they do publicize their meetings and their agendas. So they do notify when they're going to be discussing this as per law. So, Chris?
So the other concern that was raised by both Solicitor Marcello and myself at a meeting that we did have with CRMC is that some of these applications are and can be done administratively with no notice to the town. So CRMC has an ability to grant administrative permitting without notice to the town, which, again, that whole issue of providing notice coming from the town, if we don't even know what's going on, we would never be able to provide notice. They have, as a courtesy, been providing the town notice on some of these administrative matters, but it is not required. So that's another issue that legislatively might want to be taking a look at as to whether or not CRMC should be notifying local communities of these particular administrative grants of licensure.
Councilor Edwards?
Well, just as a general point of information for everybody that's here, I'm in the process of drafting a resolution. Donna's been helping me with it, that I will present to the town council at the next meeting. And I hope we will end up sending it to the state legislature to deal with some of these problems. One thing that I heard Stephanie mention, I have not watched, I'm new to this, I haven't watched hardly any CRMC meetings. However, Stephanie, did you say that they consider this side of the bay to be underdeveloped?
On the CRMC GIS map, they have Fogland highlighted, and they also have the Sakonnet highlighted in yellow, and you can see that it's underdeveloped.
All right, so that makes me very nervous.
Me too.
Because to me, it amply illustrates where their focus is. It's on development. Well, I would say that our waters, which belong to all the citizens of this town and the state, first and foremost should be reserved and protected for the use of all of us, not just a few of us. And if you put oyster farms or anything else like that in these areas, it precludes public use. It just, you can't do it. So, yeah, I just don't like the way the whole process works. I don't think it's predicated on fairness. And I think we need to find a way to make it known that we don't approve of the way it's going.
Well, Jay, if you want to prepare your resolution and bring it to us on the next meeting, and we'll discuss it as a council.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll give it to Joan tomorrow.
Yes, Donna.
Yeah, I just want to explain what happened. I was supposed to have a meeting with Mr. Marcello and a Dave, who used to be the director of CRMC, in March of 2020. It was supposed to be, I think, March 18th or something like that. Well, it was canceled because at that time we could not meet anymore because of COVID. So the new director came in. His name is Benjamin Getch, and I did contact Mike regarding having a meeting to have this MOU of understanding with Tiverton to help us have some say in our shoreline, what we want, what we don't want, at least have something, just like Charlestown does. And Ben was really pretty much how Mike said, that he didn't feel we needed it, and I frankly, I didn't agree. I can't see into the future. I just wanted to make sure that Tiverton's interests were put front and center, and but I couldn't get anyone to sit down with me, so Mike and I were kind of empty-handed on that.
At this point, would any of the state reps or senator like to say anything before I conclude this? Councilor Edwards? I'm not opening this up to the public tonight. We had over an hour discussion where we did have a public. So I just want to tell the people in the attendees room, this is not a public hearing this evening.
When logged into your SkyMiles account on Delta.com.
Hello, Jay, are you there?
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing something funny too, though.
Yeah, I'm trying to get through to Delta Airlines at the same time. I've been on hold for like 3 hours.
Can I go with you?
Trust me.
You don't want to fly.
I'm going to be in Salt Lake in 2 days. It's 102 out there.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to go with you. Never mind.
No, but it's dry heat. I've had a number of occasions to interact with CRMC. Everyone just needs to understand that they are a quasi part of government, and they tend to work at their own pace, and they tend to do what they darn well please most of the time. Excuse me. So, and you're bringing a resolution in now, Councilor Edwards or Cook. We're out of session, so there's really not a lot we could do legislatively until January at least. So I really don't see how that's going to benefit the town. This came up. I mean, when I was my first term as a rep, this came up with an issue in Nanaquacket Pond, and I don't believe the council did anything at that point. So now might be an opportunity to have the council set up some regulations between now and January before we can actually get back into session and act.
Thank you, Jay. Anyone, Jim or Lou, would you like to say anything? You don't have to. I just wanted you to.
Denise? Oh,
Yes.
sorry. Go ahead, Jim. I interrupted you.
Sorry, well, okay, so, I mean, what Rep. Edwards says is true. I mean, CRMC is a sort of a quasi judicial organization, and they have a certain amount of independence, within their jurisdiction in the surrounding waters. That said, as soon as it is practical for the General Assembly to take some action to look at the existing regulations and the laws that support those, I mean, I'd be happy to have a look at it and see if there's something that can be done to clarify who gets to speak to who and when, what the, if there's a better timeline for notification, a better process. We can look at all that stuff. That's not hard. And certainly if you're going to go to the trouble of putting your ideas down in a resolution, that's very helpful. So, we'll certainly from my perspective, we'll take your lead as the town leadership on where to go with this.
Thank you, Jim. Lou also, oh, yeah, you can hear me. Lou also has his hand up.
I'll be quick. I'd like to reiterate what Jay and Jim have said. So whatever the council wishes, we'll bring forward. 2 points I want to bring up tonight. From a Senate perspective, as we look at oversight going forward, I suspect we'll have CRMC coming in sooner rather than later. I can't say what the schedule is. I'll be working with the Senate leadership about bringing CRMC in, not because of doing anything good, bad, or otherwise necessarily, but as part of our regular Senate oversight hearing on the quasi-public agencies. As Jay indicated, they are quasi-public, and we'll be working through all of them. We may just move them up in priority. The second piece was I did speak with one of the CRMC board members who I know very well. I did connect him up with one of the folks whom I'm sure Jay, myself, and Jim and Michelle, who had received emails from. I think they had a conversation, but as Jay indicated, the folks are willing to have a conversation with folks about what the issues are, have an appreciation of what's happening. So whatever, however the council wants us to act or not, stand ready, willing, and able to do what you like. So.
Thank you, Lou and Jim and Jay. Donna?
Yeah, thank you both, representatives and senators who really appreciate the help here. I see it's very, very frustrating because as the public wants to get involved there, it's sort of you're at arm's length because no matter what's brought up, it's either there's no transparency. They call it posting, but basically, unless you know it's posted, you're living your life and you don't know something's happened. And you know, I live in Tiverton here, and you know the zoning is that two streets over, I got a notification that someone was going to put a deck on. I think this is not something that's difficult to do. Whatever it is for you know, wise to who the people are. Another thing, stopgap seems to be that, well, we don't know who these people are. Well, I don't know, how difficult is that? You're able to figure out, you know, who to send a letter to when someone's going to put up a deck or a shed or something like that. It just seems like it's being made more difficult than it needs to be. There's no ordinances, which is another problem. I know that the Harbor Commission has been working on it, and it got a little slowed up with COVID, but the fact of the matter is it went too long with no ordinances regarding this industry that's coming, and no abutter notices, which no matter how you bring it up, it seems to be that it's nobody seems to know what to do about it, and it just takes the wind out of people. They're like, how you want people to be involved, and they're trying to be, and they want to take care of their home and their area and their shoreline, and I couldn't sit down and do an MOU. It's very frustrating.
Hey, anyone else right now? Because I'd like to, yes, Mike.
Just real quick, Madam President. I am very wary of the town taking on a role that it has very little, if any, authority over. I recognize the concerns that have been raised. I also know that I've seen others who have suggested that we should be providing more of this opportunity for commercial endeavors in the waters. You know, not being a farmer, not being a fisherman, not being anything like that, I can't speak to what's right and what's wrong in that regard. But I will certainly, and I mentioned this last time, and you know, we'll reiterate it now. I am certainly in support of us, and I appreciate our delegation's interest in support of us seeking help from the legislature in putting forth some modifications to the CRMC's statutes and/or regulations that will require them, because they have the relationship with the applicants. The towns don't. Requiring them to ensure that people who are most closely affected in terms of distance, I won't call them abutters because I don't know if that's the right term, and how far back you go from the shoreline, I don't know, but that there is notification. In the meantime, and I know this is not what people want to hear, there is a process to get on the list to be notified of aquaculture projects throughout the state as they are being considered. So is it the perfect solution? Absolutely not. It is available at this time, though. Thank you, Madam President.
You're muted, Denise.
I'm
Can I
sorry, I
ask-
have to do that because the dog's barking. Go
Can I
ahead.
ask
Jay.
Mike a question quick?
Sure.
Mike, how do you do that? Because the reason I ask that is I sent 4 emails to the CRMC using the information on their website, and they all came back undeliverable.
Well, that
So Mr. Getz did give us an email last time around. I don't know, Joan, if you took that down or Chris. And it's specific to aquaculture.
Yep.
Is that the email you used, Jay?
I don't know. He did told me what the email is. I'm going to write it down and try it again, though.
I don't know if we have that readily available. Does anyone have it?
I'll go back to the minutes of the meeting on the Zoom to see if I can find it.
I can go to the town hall and get it tomorrow. I don't want to take up more time here.
Okay.
But I do know that I used one specifically to Mr. Getz that was listed specifically on the CRMC website, and it came back undeliverable, in his case, twice. And no, I haven't called him demanding to know what the correct emails are yet.
Jay Edwards, your hand is up, but I think that's from before. Is that true?
I don't think so. I think this is new.
All right.
Yeah, I gave all of you a copy of the Rhode Island Owner's Manual. If you
Yes.
go to the Coastal Resources Management Council page, the telephone and correct email addresses are in there. Those should be something you can get through to. I know I use it all the time to get a hold of different directors and staff and stuff. So I would start with that.
You know, I forgot I even had that thing. I'll look at it though.
It's on my desk, Jay. I have it.
And thank you very much for sending that, even though I ignored it.
Anyone else? So Stephanie, thanks for coming tonight. I hope it was helpful.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for listening, and thank you for moving forward and putting together some modifications that we can put in front of legislation come January when they are assembling again. This is much appreciated, and I feel a necessity for Tiverton.
All right, well, thank you, Stephanie, and I want to thank the reps and Senator for coming this evening. I think that was quite helpful also.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Announcements and comments, Town Administrator, update on IGT legislation concerning jobs.
So I hope to have this letter out this week. I will run it by Renee Jones from EDC, but it's actually 2 letters. One is to IGT, the other one is to Bally's. Both of them are required to have additional job hirings as it relates to the legislation that was changed, and we'll draft both letters.
Thank
What
you.
is IGT?
Thank you.
What's
International gaming something, maybe?
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I think so, right?
Yep.
IGT is the big parent company, I believe, and then Bally's is under them.
So they're
Something like
required
one of
to,
those.
No, they're 2 separate companies.
Oh, they're not under each other? Okay.
Bally's runs the Twin River entities, or it's their new corporate name. IGT manages the aspect of the lottery terminal.
Yep.
And
That's right.
so this is the thing that part of the agreement where they would hire so many people local?
Yep.
Yes.
Outside of Providence.
Yeah.
Oh, outside of Providence
Yes.
or Tiverton?
No, the legislation requires them to hire a certain number of positions that are not at their Providence main office.
Right.
So
And they're required to hire them from Tiverton?
No,
first, or-
no.
from all over the
So we're asking them to consider that secondary location be here.
Oh, okay. I got it. I like it.
Okay, any other comment? So the next is the town clerk, update on the FTR.
Thank you, Madam President. The FTR is scheduled for Saturday at the Tiverton High School from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Early voting is on Thursday, July 15th and 16th, Thursday, July 15th and Friday, July 16th from 8:30 to 4 p.m. That's all for now.
Thank you. All right. We are going to go into closed executive session. I understand from Chris, we are not going to do 11A tonight.
That's correct.
Okay. So I
did let David know.
okay. I'd like to entertain a motion to go into closed executive session, town solicitor, litigation, Rhode Island General Law 4246582, discussion of case status for Tiverton versus Lee Shore. Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair,
So moved.
I'm sorry, realty and all. So
So moved.
Joe,
Joe,
and do I have a second?
Jay,
Okay, sorry. The motion's been made by Councilor Perry, seconded by Councilor
confused.
Edwards. Yeah, I got,
Madam Chair,
yes,
I'm sorry, just to save time, I would do these, I would just list them all in a group because it's all deals with litigation, so you don't have to vote on each one, group them together.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna do that right now.
Yep.
Town solicitor, litigation, Rhode Island General Law 4246582, discussion of case status for Peter McGreevy versus George Azabak, case number NC 2021-0019. Town solicitor, litigation, Rhode Island General Law 4246582, discussion of APRA case status for Katz versus Tiverton. Town solicitor, litigation, Rhode Island General Law 4246582, discussion of case status for Joel Bishop et al. Versus Joan Shabbat, Tiverton Town Clerk, case number NC 2021-0188. Town solicitor, litigation, Rhode Island General Law 4246582, discussion of case status for Diane Farnsworth et al. Versus Tiverton, case number NC 2021-0209, town solicitor, litigation, RI General Law 4246582, discussion of case status for Katz versus Tiverton et al., case number NIC 2021-0216. As you can all see, my
So moved.
is very busy. Okay, so motion's been made by Councilor Perry, Councilor Edwards.
Second.
Okay, Councilor Edwards seconded. All those in favor, Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Burke,
yes.
Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Perry,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. To seal the minutes.
So moved.
I
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor, Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Perry,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. In executive session, we received a status update from Attorney Marcello and no votes were taken. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Joe, you're
Joe's
right.
back.
Joe, really? I thought you fell asleep on us. Okay, motion
Nope.
made by Councilor Perry, seconded by who? Did someone second it?
Jay, Mike,
Well,
Ed,
Somebody.
I second it.
well, I think we're all tired. By Councilor Burke. All those in favor, Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
Councilor Burke,
Yes.
Councilor Cook,
Yes.
Councilor Perry,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Good night.